Ladies and gentlemen, it all boils down to today. This is exciting. This is kind of more exciting than like the Stanley Cup playoffs or the Super Bowl or fight night in the UFC. It's election day, which is probably the nerdiest thing I've ever said in my entire life. Maybe I should edit that piece out. No, whatever happens, happens. But it all comes down to this. And in the next 18 hours or so, in the next 12 hours, we are going to have a new prime minister. I am extremely optimistic that that is going to be Pierre Poilievre. The blue wave is real. You've seen it at rallies on live streams. You've seen it in these videos. We're going to see it again today. It's absolutely incredible. And the media is trying to cope. Now, keep in mind that they were saying that Kamala Harris in the American election was going to win by 60 or 70% against Donald Trump. And the amount of Republicans that went out and voted for Trump was incredible. They just had to change the names based off of those polls. Now, that very well could be a parallel situation to what's going to happen here in Canada today. Early voting has hit record highs. People that want the same thing are not this eager and motivated to go out and get it. People that want change are making tidal waves. You've seen it. I've seen it. Get out and vote, and let's get into this video, shall we? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do really want to encourage you guys to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It's all I care about right now. Just smash that like button. See how many thousands of likes that we can get. And without further ado, let's get right into this video. Starting off with this interesting poll by Innovative Research Group. They are saying that Pierre Poilievre is slated to win 41% to 36%. You can see Pierre, the blue, he had gone down, he's back up, and he's above Mark Carney. Now, this is why the polls don't matter. Because it's game day, baby. That's it. All we got to do is anybody watching this, anybody that you know that hasn't gone out and voted, please get them to go out and vote. Just vote. We need to go and vote in record numbers so we can actually make a difference. It's not going to happen by just sitting back and going, yeah, whatever, my vote doesn't count. Take it from me. I've made that mistake for years. This is the first time I ever voted federally, and I did it right on the announcement of as early as you possibly can to go vote. So if you haven't yet already, you, your friends, your family, anybody you know, your neighbor, please encourage them to get out and vote. Now we're going to take a look at the final rally from Pierre Poilievre when he got off of the bus in Carleton. Absolutely incredible. This was captured by the pleb. Look at the roaring crowd. Wow. We got to mute the music, but you can see how many people are there and how excited they are for change, man. Look at that. Everyone's holding up change signs. Everyone's getting a hug and a handshake. I mean, Pierre Poilievre has absolutely been murdering it on this campaign trail. Record numbers at all of these rallies and everything that he's been doing. Mark Carney does a day or 2 or 3 days later because he sees that it works. Hosting events in massive warehouses or hosting the event in an airport hangar. Like Pierre has just been the first to the punch. Or even this shot right here of Pierre doing this speech in the back of a pickup truck. Mark Carney also tried to replicate that. I mean, talk about panic. Talk about panic by Mark Carney and other parties, right? Pierre Poilievre is leading this. And I mean, we're going to have that proof. The proof's going to be in the pudding in the next 12 or 18 hours. Now, since I did mention panic mode, we got to take a look at the party that is about to cease to exist in the next 12 to 18 hours. I am so excited for this. Jagmeet Singh. Jagmeet Singh is just such a freaking wacko, man. Such a wacko. He has supported crime being back out on the streets by propping up this liberal government. If he didn't vote down not 1, not 2, but 3 votes of non-confidence at the end of 2024, we wouldn't be in the situation. He is complicit in the crime of destroying this country. Now, what he's talking about here is obviously a very sensitive topic because it's very fresh. It's about the Vancouver attack. But I don't mean to politicize it because I hate, when people jump on bandwagons of atrocity and they just politicize it for political gain. But is it really politicizing something that's already been politicized? Like, maybe I'm being a bit of an a-hole here. Maybe I'm not reading the room. But I think we're all thinking it. Criminals that are known by the police and committing crime are being let back out onto the streets. And then you have situations like what just happened in Vancouver. I don't want that. I don't think you want that, but let me know down in the comments if you want that or not, because I sure as heck don't want criminals out in the streets. And somebody who's been supporting that is this guy right here, Jagmeet Singh.
Interesting. Yeah, we've been getting more information from what happened as interim police chief Ray was doing a press conference as you were speaking. He's now calling this the darkest day in Vancouver history. He said the suspect has an extensive history with police and health professionals, mostly related to mental health. And I believe Valerie asked about this already. We know there are 11 people dead now. Wow. This does include young people. What do you make of these developments?
Yeah, it was the kids that I kept on thinking about, and because in that crowd there were so many young people, and they were so filled with joy. And I know that you all are feeling it too because you were there. Yeah, it is a dark day. It is a dark day, and it's hard to kind of bounce between talking about I want people to vote for us, but also I'm so torn up about this. So it's a really tough day.
Yeah, we're all feeling the emotional impact of this. And please don't take me mentioning the politicization aspect of this atrocity, this mass murder, this borderline act of terrorism as a way to try to sway people on which way to vote. But the elephant in the room still exists. And this is just another super unfortunate instance in Canada where our people are dying because of our absolute crappy policies, man, and our crappy politicians. I hate to be the guy that's like, I'm not even trying to politicize it. I feel like it's just politicized. The cops literally admitted that he was previously known by the police. It's just, we got to stop this. Really, please, we have to stop this. Like, our country can't take any more of this crap, along with so many other things, but our country just can't take this anymore. Now, let's shift over to something that's, I don't want to say lighter, but back to politics, like actual politics. Rosemary Barton sits down with the bald guy from CBC. I ain't even saying his name. I don't care to say his name. That's his name to me. And they're having a meltdown over the election. They're still trying to prop up the narrative that the Liberals are ahead, and it's just factually incorrect. It is, because when you look at the amount of people that are out in the real world, people are not showing up to Liberal rallies the way they are to conservative rallies. It's just not the same enthusiasm. It absolutely is not the same enthusiasm. So let's watch these two bounce ideas off each other in a complete panic attack to try to prop up something that doesn't even exist. Here we go.
Clips we just heard there from the leaders. Poilievre is change. Carney is kind of Trump. And Singh and Blanchet are please. I mean, this is where we are in the end game. What's your sense of how this election is closing out?
Yeah, I have to say today what struck me was the mudslinging between the Bloc leader and the NDP leader. Like, it's so unusual to see that, like largely pointless in terms of why you would go after each other, but informative because I think it tells you where we're at. And that is at a place where, particularly for the two of them, no matter what they did through this campaign, they just could not punch into the psyche of voters. That's not to say people aren't voting for them. People are voting for them. But because of the way this has been such a binary kind of race because of all the reasons we've talked about. Just extraordinary, I thought, to see them both, to your point, plead for support in almost kind of a desperate way, and taking pot shots at one another, even though they both may end up in deep trouble, and certainly aren't taking support from one another. Like, that's the other part that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think that they have now resorted to their arguments of, for the bloc leader, if there is anything here, if there's anything you're worried about for Quebec, and him admitting, in his view, that Mr. Carney will form the government, then it is safe to return there.
Right.
And for Jagmeet Singh in his final days, frankly, to make an argument that he probably should have started with, and that is, if you want progressive policies, we can help you. And we also think the race is over. That's also extraordinary.
We can't handle progressive policies. We really can't. Just hyper focusing on the state of our economy in terms of affordability and crime, we absolutely cannot afford more progressive policies. The only way out of this is with some drastic changes, right? Drastic changes. And that is putting fear back into criminals. I mean, when you have a country where people don't respect the laws, they don't care about it, and they get kind of rewarded by being a criminal. Like, hey, you can go commit these crimes and you'll be able to still get caught, and then you'll be able to still sleep in your own bed the same night or the following night or by the weekend or after the weekend. That's absurd. That's absurd. And I don't think I can emotionally take it. I can't. Well, I mean, I'll have to, but I don't want to. I don't think that a lot of us, I think a lot of us are at our almost breaking point. Like, I don't want to put words in your mouth as the viewer, but let me know down in the comments where you are. Are you fed up with this? Is this it for you? No, or else, none of that. But are you at your breaking point? Because emotionally, socially, economically, Canada, most Canadians that I've spoken to, especially at the Pierre Poilievre rally, people are just, that's it. They're fed up. And that's why you're seeing so many people showing up at these Pierre rallies, because what Pierre is offering, quite literally, this is why I've been using it in my titles, is being a beacon of hope. That's what Pierre is offering. And we can't stand these progressive policies. We can't stand the progressive government. The only person that's changed in the Liberal government is Trudeau and Carney. That's it. Everybody else is still there, just kind of reshuffled around with different titles. That's not change. That's the same broken system.
For two opposition leaders to come to a conclusion. And I know why they're saying it. It's a tactical reason. But for them to be saying so publicly they know what the outcome is, that's a pretty unusual development in what has been an unusual campaign.
Yeah, the little dust-up we saw between them today, you got a sort of a taste of that in the French language debate, right? When Mr. Singh looked at Mr. Blanchet and said, you were as useless as the monarchy in this minority, because he wants to use them as a contrast point. But like outside of Berthier, Masconanger, and Rosemary on the island of Montreal, they're just not fighting with each other, right? So it is the most presidentialized election, I feel like, I've certainly covered, in that it is his binary choice with Carney and Poilievre going into the final weekend. And Carney seems to be on a more offensive tour in the final days with a little bit of defense and motivating for Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah, and people wonder, well, how can you say that? You don't know what the outcome is. That's right, we don't. Nope. But parties are deciding where to go based on what their own internal polling is telling them. And so you can detect things from that, right? You see where Mr. Poilievre is, Saskatchewan. Sure, he hadn't been there yet. If you were really concerned, though, about trying to form government, I think you would take a pass and say, we know Saskatchewan likes us, we're good there, and you would go and hit some places that were more battle rich. The fact that he is in Alberta, I think, is also a telling sign. I'm not saying he's going to lose people in Alberta. I'm just saying that he is reverting back to tradition traditional basis of support for the Conservatives. And if that is where he is spending his time in these last days, that tells me that they aren't incredibly hopeful about things. And for Mr. Carney, yeah, you're right. He was in Winnipeg and Leah Kazan's riding last night.
Following Jagmeet Singh because he wants his seats.
Yeah, he is going after any kind of orange seat he can. He is, as Chantal Bear said at issue last night, hunting for that majority, that they are looking for.
I do disagree with what she said about Pierre. I disagree that Pierre has been wasting time on going to places that he thinks he could win. Pierre Poilievre has been finding the line for ridings that are conservative and a toss-up between Liberal or NDP. And that's where he's held a lot of his rallies. A lot of them. Even the one that happened in Nanaimo, it wasn't even in Nanaimo. And I'm pretty sure Nanaimo is actually NDP. Most of BC, unfortunately, is NDP, especially on Vancouver Island. And so is Calgary. Calgary's quite liberal of a city, right? That progressive left mentality. And specifically focusing on the Nanaimo, rally that I had the pleasure of attending and met so many of you wonderful people, as well as awesome, like every creator, was there. Like it was sweet. It was like a huge club. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend that you go back and watch that stream if you have the time. But it was actually north of Nanaimo in a small town called Nanoose Bay, which is in between Nanaimo and Parksville. It's about 15 minutes north of Nanaimo, about 15 minutes south of Parksville, right smack dab in the middle. Very small community. Parksville is a medium community. Nanaimo's definitely a full-blown medium community. I think maybe 100-some thousand people live there. Like, there's a lot of people. And the amount of people that showed up in that kind of middle area, just north of Nanaimo, was insane. Like, now I don't even know how many people. 4, 5, 6,000. Like, that is incredible numbers. It could be even higher than that. Absolutely, it could be higher. But I don't think that he's been wasting his time at all. I think that he's been going to places that his party are saying, look, these are really great places to go because we're going to bring people from the north and the south and the east and the west. And it's been very strategic. Whereas Carney is... Like, I do agree with what she just said about Carney, that Carney is literally just trying to poach all the NDP supporters, which is why you've probably heard from myself, from other sources, that NDP, Jagmeet Singh, is at risk of losing his official party status. He's tanking. He is tanking in the polls. He has the most amount of loss out of any other party. The Bloc is going to maintain Quebec. I don't know, these polls that the mainstream media is showing Liberals are going to take Quebec and they're going to have this landslide victory in Ontario, which is pretty much a determining factor on this election, if I'm being totally honest. But I don't think that the Liberals are actually going to take Quebec. That's insane. Quebec is kind of a area where it's separatist and very Quebec conservative values for quite a few things, and that's always going to go back into the Quebec party. It's Quebec's way of trying to be conservative without being conservative party. That's what kind of the Bloc is to a certain extent. Maybe you disagree with that, but just to generalize it. And I really don't see Carney winning Quebec to the extent of what the polls have been showing. So by that standard alone, it's not going to be this Carney sweep that these people have been talking about. It's going to be a Pierre sweep, or it's going to be very, very close. But again, Jagmeet Singh on his way out, folks. I think after this, he's going to throw in his hat and he's going to call it a day and drive off in his Maserati that apparently doesn't belong to him. Yeah, right.
Ways to break through that 172 and see whether they can get it.
That for Monday.
Yeah, I did have to take a minute.
Yeah.
And I think you can also see with the energy of that campaign that they think that they are on a good path as well. Like, he's going to now cover the country in the last couple of days and try and create a sense of energy and momentum to convince people that he has this. The danger for the Liberals here, and there is a danger, is that people think that it's done, that it's won, even their own supporters, and that those supporters don't show up, don't show out, and that argument that the Bloc and the NDP are making, that does start to hold some weight for people, and so they do return to sort of their natural home base, voter base, and then everything gets upended again, right?
Yeah.
Because there are a few days left, and we don't know how many people are going to vote on Monday, and it could still change things. But in order for it to change dramatically, those numbers from the Bloc and the NDP have to come up, and I think we're just at a place right now where time is running out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as a result.
I don't think that the NDP numbers are going to come up. I think that parts of Vancouver Island and British Columbia are probably going to still stay NDP, again, because it's that progressive mentality. And that's actually kind of good. I don't know if I want to wish Jagmeet, debunking or losing his official party status, at least not right now, because the more people that are actually voting for the NDP, the better it actually is for Pierre, and the worse it makes it for Mark Carney and Liberals. So that piece is totally awesome. But the Bloc Québécois is going to, sweep Quebec like they have been. I mean, it's not going to be Liberal. That's literally the opposite of what the Bloc Québécois stands for to a certain extent, right? To a certain extent, but I just don't see that happening. And when you remove those numbers back from propaganda to reality that the Bloc is going to maintain a massive majority in Quebec, then already the pendulum switches heavily into Pierre's favor. That's why these polls don't really make any sense right now. They don't make any sense.
Come in on Monday night. Like we start obviously with Atlantic Canada. The polls close there first. That's a conservative liberal area, right? The New Democrats are probably not going to bust through there, and the Liberals will probably win a significant majority of the seats in Atlantic Canada. In terms of whether or not the complacency has set in, and whether the counter arguments of Singh and Blanchet, we'll start seeing that in Montreal right away, southwestern Ontario, and across the prairies. But we may not know the final answer until British Columbia, just depending on how it goes, because that's where the NDP power base, such as it is, remains, right?
Yeah, and I think the other thing that struck me today and yesterday is Mr. Poilievre's argument around change. And again, change is the ultimate driver of voters. Like, if people are sick of a government, that's the thing that flips them. And again, that is not really where Mr. Poilievre started, right? He started by talking about some issues, but not punching that argument as hard as he could and as hard as he has in these last days. Maybe that'll make a difference for some people.
It's more about the fourth Liberal majority or mandate now, rather than Mark Carney's just like Justin Trudeau, when there's stylistic and quantitative differences. So well,
and also because that didn't seem to matter. That didn't seem to resonate with voters who have frankly moved on from Justin Trudeau and who are looking at different options now. So I don't know whether that.
Not many people who can do any sort of rational critical thinking are under the impression that Carney is. Carney's different from Trudeau. We all think, did I say that right? We're all thinking, we all know, we're all in the same brainwave that Carney, even though he is replacing Trudeau, his policies are literally written by Justin Trudeau. There's not too many people out there that think otherwise. There's some brain dead idiots out there, the elbows up crowd, which is a bit of a fringe minority. I've never seen directly. I've only heard indirectly through friends or family, like of a couple different instances where people were kind of like elbows up ish in person. But other than that, it's not in your face. It's not all the time. It's just propaganda. There are quite a few people in the country that are believing that, and we've seen videos being pushed at these Mark Carney rallies of the elbows up stuff. They're somehow under the impression that Carney's like a whole different person than Trudeau and a whole different platform and everything is different. So the only change that needed to be made had already been made, and that couldn't be further from the truth. It's the exact same thing. The leader, different name, different person, same freaking thing, if not significantly worse. A lot of people recognize that. And a lot of young people recognize that. And we've seen that at these Pierre Poilievre rallies where you have young people, like 17 years old, right? I even had the opportunity of, interviewing some of these younger folks at the rally that I attended in Nanaimo. And that's just one rally that I went to with a few people that said, hey, we're okay talking on camera. That doesn't include all of the other people that were there who weren't even able to vote, but we're like, yeah, we're showing up and we're just checking it out and seeing what this is all about, because we're sick and tired of the government and everything they've done and ruining those kids' future, right? So the fact that you have these ineligible voting age individuals that have been showing up and showing this much interest in a government that's different, that's the change that we need, is incredible. I mean, I'm not really looking at a whole lot of Mark Carney footage, but from the footage that I have seen, I've never seen like a 17-year-old kid who's ineligible to vote being interviewed at a Mark Carney rally going, yeah, I can't vote yet, but maybe someday, in the next election, I'll be able to vote for Mark Carney. Like, nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. People don't care about that. They know that it's a crock. It's a crock of poop, right? And it's just not true. He's the same freaking bad person, if not worse than Justin Trudeau. Yeah. What the hell is she smoking here? Come on, Rosemary, be better.
Change argument will penetrate into the electorate over the next few days, but it is still, I think, the strongest argument that the Conservatives have. And you're right, for Mr. Carney, it remains about President Trump. And anytime President Trump speaks, today in that Time magazine interview, it is again a galvanizing motivator for Mr. Carney and what he's putting on the table in terms of how to take it on. But you're right, it could be British Columbia this time that gives us a clearer picture of what the country wants.
It'll be BC and Ontario, and Quebec is going to remain blocked. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict the future, but based off of everything that we've seen, it really just seems like Quebec is not going anywhere. They're not switching gears and going liberal. And as far as British Columbia goes, I mean, I think a lot of people are very fed up with the progressiveness in British Columbia, which is why you saw the resurrection of the BC Conservatives, been pretty much in incognito mode. Second time I've messed that up on one of these videos. Incognito mode. Incognito mode. They've just been sleeping, right? The BC Conservatives haven't existed for a very, very long time. Got resurrected this year and pulled off, I think it was like 47, 48, or 49%, which is crazy. And that's just in BC. So if a party that's just been dead, sleeping, not awake, was able to pull that off, imagine at the federal level what Canadians are wanting. Canadians want change. That part is clear. If you haven't already, please get out and vote. And please like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn post notifications on, and tune in later for a freaking massive live stream for this election. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. We're all stressed. We're all going through it, but we're all going to come out on the other side 12 to 18 hours with a new government. Bye for now.